So welcome everyone. As Thomas said, my name is Gábor Wagner and I live in Berlin, Germany, and I work for ESMT, European School of Management and Technology. We are a Berlin-based business school and one of the best in Europe, actually. We every year win different nominations, so that is very nice and it's very nice to work here. I work in the Career Development Center. This is a small but very important team within the business school because students come to Germany with different dreams and all kinds of career aspirations. And it's sometimes very hard to fulfill those dreams, but we are all for it, and we would like to um, help them to find these dreams and find the dream job they are looking for. Of course, the excellent education is one part of it, let's say the one half, and we are there for them to provide them with the other half. So I prepared some presentation about us, and I also let me just share my screen. I also prepared a sneak peek for you about one of our, let's say, lecture or workshop that we have at the Career Development Center that is about the use of AI and how can you use AI for your career aspirations, translate your career narratives, and just basically stand out on the job market. It's a very difficult job market and a tough room. So standing out is quite important. And this is what we help students with. And this is also what we try to involve AR and teach them how to use AI to do that. So let me share my screen quickly. All right, you are able to see my slides now.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So the sneak peek I'm going to share with you today is how to use AI to identify your personal strengths, and then, of course, how to translate these strengths into your CV and your job application documentation. Before we go into that, a little bit about what do we do in this career development team specifically. As I said, we are assisting students, both master students and MBA students, because we have both of them. Of course, it's a big difference because when it comes to master students, we talk about early careers or completely new to the job market. When we talk about business administration, MBA students, they have an average 8 years of work experience already, so they know what to expect. They just need help to navigate in the job market. So we work with both of them, which is quite a lot because it's a two totally different perspective, defining their career goals or translating the work experience into career narratives, finding internship or full-time positions for them. We do this through structured advising sessions. So I also mentioned we do lots of workshops and lectures on how to use technology, or what we also do is CV review, reviewing their LinkedIn profiles, helping them tailoring the CVs, also mock interviews. We provide interview situations that they can practice with us. And how we do that is that we all have a background in either talent acquisition, like myself, coming with 10 years of experience in talent acquisition. So I hired thousands of people already. My colleagues are coming with coaching or other relevant areas and backgrounds. So this is how we put together what we all know and help students along the way. So today we are going to talk about how to use AI to identify your personal strengths. These are quick tips. I thought to share two quick tips, and then after that, save your questions because in the Q&A you will have plenty of chance to ask your questions if you would like to learn about something a little bit more deeper. So before we start, it's very useful to remember when using AI or large language models that even though based on the very recent statistics, now AI and large language models, just like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Google, they can save up to 20 hours in a week of work. So basically, if you use it well, then you can basically save half of your working hours. But this is actually important to remember that these models are still very dumb. They have hallucinations. They assume too much. AI is quite biased. They make up information and not reading the attachments when they say that, yes, I did read, but then, with a typical follow-up questions, you can quickly realize that they don't. So critical thinking is quite important. You always have to question GPTs, AI, whatever you use, and you should be argumentative with them because they still tend to please people. So when it comes to prompting, this is also something we kind of teach students how to prompt these models in the best way. So you just after the very first prompt, you can avoid these common pitfalls already. But once we are done with that, um, the most important, in my opinion, is to define yourself professionally. Why I say this? Because before basically you do anything, you must know yourself. And this is the very same at the job market. So you really need to know yourself. You really need to learn your CV, but that's a topic for a different webinar. But how can AI help you to know yourself is really easy. You just have to provide the language model with a core of you. What I mean as a core of you is creating some kind of a persona, a professional persona or a student persona or whichever you call it. Just create a persona, a core of you that the AI will understand and will understand who you are before you start your job search or before you start planning your career, no matter you are an early career or an MBA student. So with that, you can upload your CV, obviously, but sometimes master students, they don't really have too much experience. They don't necessarily have a reference letter, but we also help them to put together a nice LinkedIn profile that you can, sort out your skills, and the AI will work with that. Or you can upload your educational documents. It can be, a transcript, or it can be research papers you contributed to. Doesn't really matter because the AI will be able to sort the information, and with the next or the following prompts, you will direct these kind of information sorting in a way that will help you plan your career or prepare for an interview. You can also use different online skills assessments, aptitude tests, or Randstad has a very nice skills website that you can use, and you can basically break down every profession by the skills needed, the top 5 skills and emerging skills, and probably the future-proof skills as well. So you can learn a lot about that, and you can compare yourself towards these skills, and you can, of course, upload the result to your AI model that you're using. So once you are done with that, of course, you have to double check the information. And here comes my experience, for example, because your professional identity can look nice to you, but for a recruiter, it can look generic. It can look, I don't know, too senior, too junior, just too whatever. There's always a reason to find mistakes. So this is also what I personally help my students along the way how to sound or how to build this professional persona natural and authentic. So you can use AI to request a 3-word description of you, ask it to define the most suitable role for you. And these are all thought-provoking processes that help starting your brain, and then you can, go on with that. You can ask AI to identify the top 5 business critical strengths that you have, and you can also compare those with the job description. For example, you can always upload the job description or a few job descriptions, and then help AI to define the top skills that you have as a basis or you are lacking, and then you can work on a heat map. What is the level of those skills and what's missing and how can I improve? And of course, which I really like, the CV summaries. I think those 3 to 4 lines in the beginning of every CV, that is quite important. I always read them, and ChatGPT can generate very nice and authentic CV summaries. I would rather use Claude, but whichever you like, you can always play around with these CV summaries. Of course, you have to always be careful not to sound AI or, keep authenticity, but we will talk about it on the next slide. So basically, once you define your personal self, then you can actually use it to tailor CVs. Because of course, there is also quite a popular topic about networking and find jobs through your network, but most of the times you will end up tailoring CVs and apply for jobs with your CV. So obviously the job or the work with AI doesn't stop at creating your persona. It goes on. Now you tailor CVs. So when you tailor the CV, you need to provide AI with as many contexts as possible. So with a job description, or maybe you found someone at the company working for that company on LinkedIn, and you can download that person's profile, and you can also feed AI with that. So it has a wider context of what is required for the job and how your defined persona is matching this kind of job. Um, you always have to clarify the details with AI. So here I was talking about, the hallucinations, the biased AI. You never leave a chance for any AI to assume. You have to clarify every small detail. And then once you are done with that, you have to think about signals, because most of our students, when it comes to the master students, they are early careers, they don't have much experience, so they cannot really stand out with a project or leading teams or whatever. They also have to think signals, what they signal for the employer. And then MBA students, they are usually pivoting their careers. So the previous experience they have is very nice, but it's not necessarily relevant for the new role they are trying to apply for. So signals become very important, and your strengths, your professional persona that you defined on the previous slide, is also quite important, and it's a major part of the narrative you try to sell for the employer. So when you think about signals, these are the transferable skills. This is how you present yourself. The generated CV summary, as I mentioned, is quite important. And just basically what kind of personality you bring in the CV. So you have to do it, of course, in an authentic way. That's really important. And then I listed here some common mistakes. The GPT wording, of course, it's called the AI accent. There are there are a lot of words. For example, foster. this is a typical ChatGPT word. So a recruiter will see immediately that the CV was done by ChatGPT. And even if you just used it to edit the CV, this is already a bias, a negative bias that you want to avoid. So I think it's a common mistake to leave those words in the CV. And you have to be careful with sudden tone changes. This is also something typical to ChatGPT. You have to think about the too good to be true title or label. That's very important. So even if you think that your CV is 10 out of 10, that shouldn't be really the goal, because 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10, that is suspicious. That basically tells the recruiter that you tailored the CV with AI and it's not necessarily true what you say there. So I would always recommend my students to leave some space for a conversation, to put there something that's important or interesting, but leave some questions so there will be a reason for the recruiter to call you. And of course, the GPTs don't have risk awareness. And when I say risk awareness, I mean, are you too senior for this job or too educated for this job? Because a recruiter can think, okay, I don't want to open this position in like half a year from now, so I need someone who will stick to this job. And if you are too senior, that becomes a risk. Even if, in your opinion, you could do this job, you don't, want to do anything else, you are not too ambitious, it would be fine. But the recruiter is not necessarily aware of that. So you can basically become a risk that they would like to avoid. And GPT doesn't really have, ChatGPT or other AI doesn't really have the thinking about it. But you should always, as I said, critical thinking is quite important. You should always think about these sudden or subtle signals that can make or break your application, basically.